Welcome back. It's a new day, so I forgot my hat today, so that explains the discontinuity in the video. But we'll move on. So John owns a hot dog stand. Blah 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 blah. Now, usually when you get to word problems, you can, for the most part, ignore, you know, the story, right? Focus on the math. What's going on here? This is going on here, and we want to earn the most profit. So you should obviously read it at least once, but I'm not going to read it to you because you can read it yourselves. And then just go for the math. Find out what exactly you need to find. This last sentence tells us how many you want the most. So the most, this is a parabola. That's concave down, so it looks like this because of the negative sign right here. So a negative sign, when the leading coefficient is negative, the parabola is going to open downwards, and it has a maximum, and that maximum is at the vertex. Now there's two ways to do this. On the previous problem, I solved this by completing the square. For this one, we're going to do the other way so you can get practice at both methods. So what we're going to do here is find the vertex of P. So the vertex is at x equals negative b over 2a. And this, in this problem, is negative 74 over 2 times 1. I'll just keep it like that. 2 times negative 1. So this becomes 74 over 2, which is 37. Okay. Now, this problem is just saying how many hot dogs do I need to sell. At this point, we're done because x is the number of hot dogs, and we solved for x. Now, if the problem said, what is the most profit? What is the profit that's maximized? Then you would have to plug the 37 into there to find out what the profit is. But in this case, we don't need to know that profit. We just need to know how many hot dogs. So as you can see, this is a very easy problem. This is just a simple arithmetic problem. Divide 74 by 2. The toy rocket is shot vertically. Once again, blah, blah, blah. We have a math problem right there. And at what time will the ball be 204 feet from the ground? So the distance in feet above the ground is s of t. So in this case, we have s of t equals 204. And this s of t is also equal to this right here. So here we have our math problem. Okay? This is equal to 204. Now this is also a parabola, and you don't need to know this, but basically what's going on here is you shoot something up, and then it comes down. And we want to know, when is it 204 feet high? So it says at what times. So either it peaks at 204, at which there's one solution, it just touches it once, or 204 is somewhere down here and it touches it twice. So we'll find out which one it is right now. So we just solved this by quadratic formula. So negative 16t squared. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to move everything this way. So that means I'm going to add 16t squared, and I'm going to subtract 127t. Get everything to this side of the equation. So what we have here is 16t squared. I moved it over here. Minus 127t plus 204 equals 0. So now I need to solve this quadratic uh, equation. Now, it looks like it's going to be messy. I can't think of any obvious way to factor this. So one way to solve it is, using when all else fails, and there's no easy way to factor this, we'll just use the quadratic formula. So it's 120. So these numbers are already getting kind of big. 4ac all over 2 times 16. Now, the numbers are big, but keep in mind we're allowed to use a calculator. So I am going to do that now. So we have, let's see, 127 plus, and I'll make this a little bit bigger here so you can see. We should be able to read it anyways, but here's a bigger screen for you. 127 plus the square root of 127 squared minus 4 times a 16 times 204. Now this is all inside the radical. We want to get out of the radical. Now I'm actually going to run into a problem here, because if I do divided by, now I'm just going to make this simpler for myself so I have less to type in, divided by 32. Now this is not going to give me the right answer. Why? Because PEMDAS is going to say do this and then divide by 32 first, but I want to divide 127 divided by 32. So what I'm going to do is go back to the beginning and go to second insert parentheses. Okay, and I pressed it twice by accident. Now we're going to go to the right before the division by 32. And right here, okay, I typed it too many times. So that's slow. Okay, right there, I'm going to go second insert parentheses 32. Okay, so then you press enter, and you can see what you get here. We get 5.701. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to take a screenshot of this and put it on the page so you can see what I typed in. Now the other thing that we want to do is we want to have a minus. Well, the way we do that is we go to second entry, and it just brings up what I just typed in. And I'm going to go to minus, or change this plus to a minus. Now I typed it too many times because it was slow, so I'm going to have to wait a moment. There it is, minus, and then press enter. And here's our two answers. Okay. So now over here, oops. Let's make this. Okay. I'm a Mac person, not a Windows person. But so over here we have these two answers. Let me use my mouse instead. Figure that out. Oh, it's thinking. Well, while that's thinking, let's do something else. We're gonna. Oh, that's what's going on, I think. We are going to solve this a different way. And what we're going to do is we're going to type this quadratic into the computer using our Y, our graphing abilities. So we have 16. Now it's t, but we'll just use x squared here, minus 127x plus 204. I'm going to graph this. And I'm interested in the zeros here. Now the zeros, it looks like it's not going to be an integer. So what I do now is I'm going to go to second calc, and I'm going to go to 0, which is number 2. Now I need a left hand side. So what I'm going to do is it just kind of flew by right there. So I can use these numbers to get a guide of what I want. So I want to be just on the left hand side of it. Another way to do it is to say, okay, it's positive here, and then it's negative here. So in between there, I know there has to be a 0 by the intermediate value theorem. This is the guess. I usually just press enter. It's pretty good at finding that, what it is. So this is 2.2364. Well, look at that. It's the same exact answer that we have here. And the other 0 is going to be, let's see if this unfroze itself. This sometimes happens to the smart board. So I usually have to save it. Sometimes I have to close it down. So let me just close it down. Let me pause. Alright, we're back, and here's one answer. Here's the other answer. Make this a bit smaller. And so we have this one verified. 2.23 is right there. And the other 0 is going to be second calc 0. And I'm going to go over. Now, according to this, it should be around 5.7. So let's go to about 5. It's a little bit less than 7. 5.6. Left hand side, right hand side. There's a 0 in between there. 5.7010. So it's the right answer, basically. So now why does this not look like this graph here? Because what we did here was the answer is going to be the same, but this is a different question. It's related. This is saying where is this equal to 204? And what we did is we transformed it. This is equivalent to this, but this graph is not going to be this graph. Obviously, because this has a negative leading coefficient and this has a positive coefficient. So that is why we get a different looking graph. But what we're doing here is we're finding where this is equal to 204. Here we're finding where it's equal to 0, because this finding zeros is a very common thing in algebra. Okay, so our answer is 2.2. Our answers would be 2.2. How many decimal places we want? Just one. 2.2 and 5.7 seconds. So I probably should have put a second there also, but you get the point. Okay.